Hello, everyone. My name is John L. Lasco, and today I am going to critique on the study entitled Integrating Financial Literacy into the K-12 Curriculum, Teachers and School Leaders Experience. The proponents of this research are Jesse S. Barot, Gemma M. Gonzalez, Arnold A. Inigo, Aldrin L. Sapilande, and Maria Lourdes G. Oligario of the La Salle University. Now let's talk about the rationale of the study. This study examines how financial literacy education, or FLE, was implemented at the school and classroom levels. A total of 32 teachers and 16 school leaders across different regions in the Philippines were interviewed. Using a comparative multiple case study approach, the findings indicated that one, teachers' implementation in the classroom was influenced by the various learning, and contextual factors, and that second, school leaders confronted major implementation challenges related to staff development, instructional supervision, administration, and leadership functions despite recognizing the value of FLE. Despite implementation challenges, the study also revealed teachers and school leaders' positive attitudes toward integrating FLE into the K-12 curriculum. Theoretically, the findings highlights the value of teacher and school leader sense making in successfully implementing any curriculum innovation and crafting the FLE framework. Theoretical framework. This study was drawn upon sense-making theory by Week 1996 to explore teachers' experiences and school leaders' perspectives on their critical role in implementing FLE at the classroom and school levels. Sense-making refers to the cognitive act of taking in information, framing it, and using it to determine actions and behaviors in a way that manages meaning for individuals. Evans, 2007. It aims to create a clear picture of an ambiguous event through creation, interpretation, and enactment. It also allows teachers and school leaders to construct a reality by making sense of their experience, prior knowledge, beliefs, and values. Spallane and Anderson, 2024, Week 1996. This instance suggests that two key players make decisions and enact changes based on their understanding of curriculum reform and how it interacts with social contexts within and beyond the school. In short, their sense-making process influences and is influenced by their surroundings, such as colleagues, values, school culture, school norms, and school traditions. Local agents, such as teachers and school leaders, sense making of curriculum development and implementation has attracted the attention of policymakers and scholars, especially those that employ a top down approach to education reforms. This perspective highlights the vital role of these agents and how their meaning making influences curriculum development processes and outcomes. Their sense making includes cognitive processes and implementation behavior. Spallane et al. 2022, Week 1996. In the case of the current study, teachers and school leaders' sense making of the FLE policy and processes would shed light on the pivotal factors impacting the successful implementation of this curriculum innovation at the school level. Now, this is my reaction or critique on the following parts of the research. First is the research problem. To complement previous studies and fill in gaps in the literature, the study examined the critical role of teachers and school leaders from a qualitative perspective. Specifically, it addressed the following questions. What factors influence teachers' implementation of financial literacy education in the classroom? Second, what roles did school leaders play in implementing FLE at the school level? Now, my reaction in this research problem is that this research problem is well framed as it deals with a critical and timely issue in education by focusing on the implementation of financial literacy education from the perspective of teachers and school leaders. It focuses on qualitative inquiry as this can provide a deeper understanding of the lived experiences and contextual factors that may shape FLE. Additionally, I believe that this research article is very helpful because financial literacy is very important that everyone should be aware and should know about how to master the the scale of financial of managing its own financial resources. Up next is the method. This study used multiple data gathering techniques, namely interview and observation. The interview guide for teachers contains 40 items and is divided into preliminary questions with 15 items and a main questions section with 25 items. As a way to triangulate the interview data, classroom observations were conducted. Now, my reaction about this research method is that the use of multiple methods of data collection, both interviews and observation, was a strong methodological decision. Why? Because it maximized the information gathering about the research problem and increased data validity from triangulation. However, the interview guide with 40 items may risk being too lengthy, potentially leading to participant fatigue or superficial responses. Breaking down the questions into preliminary and main section is a thoughtful decision. However, based on my knowledge on research, qualitative research, which I experienced in the previous semester, in qualitative research about making interview questions, it would be better to divide the questions into three parts: the preliminary, the main section, and the concluding part of the questions. But the necessity for all the 40 items should also be critically assessed for relevance and redundancy. 40 item may be too lengthy. Up next is participants. 32 teachers and 16 school leaders from 16 public schools, Philippine public schools, composed of 8 elementary schools and 8 high schools in the Philippines, was implemented. These schools came from 4 different regions: NCR, Region 3, Region 7, and Region 11. Half of these schools were from urban areas, while the other half came from rural areas. My reaction on the selection of the 32 teachers is that um, it is actually all right because the selection of 32 teachers and 16 school leaders from 16 public schools across diverse region and setup is an obvious, well-planned sampling. strategy to capture the diverse perspective of FLE. Both elementary and high schools, with a balance of both urban and rural setting, can ensure the findings to be reflective and diverse educational context. However, I believe that 32 participants, teachers, and 16 school leaders might be too few. I think it would be better to select more number of participants. Additionally, specifying how participants were selected as purposive, random, or convenient sampling would strengthen the methodological transparency and address possible biases. Research procedure and data analysis. The interviews were transcribed and subjected them to a cross-case analysis through cyclic iteration of examining, interpreting, coding, and comparing data across cases. Thematic analysis was employed. Interview transcript of each participant was analyzed, and subthemes were identified each main theme. This progressive approach has been repeated until all transcriptions were completed. For the class observation, the research used a 4-point Likert scale to determine teachers' extent for implementation. Results were computed using mean and standard deviation. Observation notes were also compiled to determine the validity of teachers' responses during the interview. My reaction in this data procedure and data analysis is that this shows a structured approach by using cross-case analysis and thematic analysis to ensure the comprehensive examination of qualitative data. The use of 4-point Likert scale to quantify classroom observations is appropriate for measuring the extent of implementation. Generally, the use of multiple sources of data, such as interview and observation together, will result to a stronger data validity and reliability. Now let us have the result of the study. The observation has confirmed that teachers implemented FLE in their respective classrooms to a moderate extent, with a mean of 2.78 and standard deviation of 0.61. Further, information from the classroom notes has also validated the four factors, namely learner characteristics, FLE learning resources, class size, and medium of instruction, on how they implemented FLE. Notably, all the school heads did not systematically and formally incorporate school-wide FLE programs into their plans despite the official directives from the central office. Some of the reasons that the school heads pointed out are the lack of resources and funding, the lack of clear implementation guidelines, insufficient training, and work overload. My reaction based on the following results is that I could recommend to the concerned office, especially the DepEd, to enhance the teacher's proficiency on implementing the FLE through various trainings and workshops, and determine the appropriate class size suitable for the effective implementation of the program. The school head should look for or find an entrepreneur in the local community to impart his or her knowledge to the school personnel during their LAC session, which will be funded by the MOE through its program and training seminar. Additionally, school leaders should make a clear implementation guidelines and the implementation of the FLE in school-based. Thank you very much for listening, and that concludes my critique on integrating financial literacy into the K-12 curriculum, teachers and school leaders' experience. Thank you so much.